All right, all 16 jurors are with us. I think we have resolved all the technical difficulties, and the jury is with the state. Mr. Jackson.
10 days. 10 days torment. 10 days torture. 10 days of absolute terror for a 4-year-old little girl. That's what this case is about. It's about the defendant for 10 days tormenting, torturing, and terrorizing this little girl. Introduce you to Tegan. Her name is Tegan. She's the reason why we're all here. That picture, she's about 2 months shy. 2 months shy of that 4th birthday, right? 3 years, 10 months. She's about this tall, not 40 pounds. You know that age. The magic and innocence is real. And it's about how Tegan looked. Tegan Ski looked last name. That's how she looked on July the 5th. Can everybody see? On July the 5th of 2010. July the 5th, 2010. This is the day before her 4th birthday. The day before her 4th birthday. You see, this is the day, this is also the day that her mom, Helen Reyes, who's in the Army Reserves, this is the day that she's leaving. She has to go to mandatory military training out of state. This is the day that her mom leaves Tegan in the exclusive sole custody and control of this defendant. Her boyfriend, a man she's known for 7 months, someone she loves. And this is the day, on this day, the defendant and Tegan drive to Raleigh with Helen Reyes, with Tegan's mom. And they drop her off. They drop mom off. Tegan says goodbye to her mom. And it's the last time that Tegan would ever see the face of her mother again. The last time that she'd see anybody's face other than this defendant. Drop her off. Drop mom off. First thing the defendant, as he's dropping her off in Raleigh, what's the first thing the defendant does as he's coming back to Johnston County? He doesn't stop to get, supplies for her soon-to-be 4-year-old. He stops at Lowe's and Garner, and he has Lowe's and Garner, and he has one thing on his mind: purchase a hasp. You guys know what a hasp is? Locking mechanism. You put the padlock. There it is. A hasp. Goes to Lowe's just after dropping her off. This is 8:30, 8:20, 8:28. Purchases one thing. Lowe's. One purchase. One thing on his mind. A hasp. And he goes back to the shed to the shed where he has been living on his grandparents' property for about a month with Tegan and Helen and himself. They've been staying in this shed. It's a one-room shed, storage outbuilding converted. And he installs this hasp on the door in the frame. And he has his padlock. First thing, what does it do? It's designed to lock people out. Right? The defendant is the only one who has access to what's inside that room. It locks people out. Maybe what it's designed to do. But what it was also good for is locking a little girl into an outbuilding, a shed. She's locked, trapped in this one-room shed outbuilding for 10 days. For the rest of her conscious life, this is the only room that she knows, those 4 doors. And for the rest of her conscious life, for these 10 days, the only human physical contact that she has is with this defendant. And after 10 days of torment, after 10 days of torture, after 10 days of terror, this is what he leaves of her. She goes to the hospital. She's essentially brain dead, in a coma. Her life functions are failing. She's in the process of dying, and her body is making. You know, Tegan turned 4 locked in that shed. The next day, she turned 4. And so what this case is about, really, the evidence and what you'll be hearing, is Tegan's entire life, as brief as it was, as a 4-year-old child. And all she knew was that shed. And what happened in that shed when she was locked alone with the defendant. She didn't even make it, as a 4-year-old, she didn't make it 13 days on this earth. It's really about those 10 days. Those 10 days, she turned 4, where the defendant tormented, tortured, and terrorized. It's about the 10 days that he inflicted grievous pain and suffering upon his 4-year-old child through deliberate, repeated acts of sadistic abuse. Repeated acts of sadistic abuse, not only physical, but sexual. Not only for the purpose of discipline, but sadistic pleasure. Her entire conscious life as a 4-year-old is in that shed, locked in there, with the defendant, alone with the defendant. Because you see, by the time that he gets her to the hospital, when he arrives at the hospital, she's comatose. Her body is limp, cold. Her life functions are failing. And you're going to hear, ladies and gentlemen, when he brings her on that 10th day, on the July the 16th was the day that he brought her to the hospital. Listen carefully when you hear the witnesses testify, the nurses, the doctors, the medical personnel. Listen to their reaction, their immediate reaction, how it affected them immediately. All of them. When they began to discover as they're treating her the severity, the extent, the number, and the nature of her injuries all over her body. You'll see as the evidence goes forward, as you listen to these medical personnel, they'll make a reference, well, too numerous to describe, must be documented photographically, beyond anything that they'd ever seen before. And pay attention to the defendant's reaction as he realizes that the people at the hospital, the medical personnel, are beginning to realize the true nature of these injuries. Okay? Can't describe it. Words won't. I can tell you bite marks. I can tell you lacerations. I can tell you bruises, abrasions, cuts, whip marks. But words don't work. And I want you to compare what the doctors and the nurses and the professionals